Hello, and welcome to Sports by Compian. My name, of course, is Stephen Compian. I am joined here by a very special guest. Our booker's been trying to get this guy ever since the program started, but he is a busy man. So we had to send some agents to break his knee, and now he has some time for the podcast. It all worked out really well for us. Taylor Sykes in the house! What's up, Taylor?
What's up, Stephen? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. It's great to have you here on the program. We're going to be discussing some impact sports as they go. Major League Rugby just wrapped up Week 3. XFL just wrapped up Week 3. NHL is somewhere deep in the, their season, potentially playoffs coming up. And, of course, the NFL has drama. So we will be touching on as much of that as we can before we get bored. But to start this off, with no further ado, the Chicago Hounds had their game opener against the Utah Warriors. Let me tell you, Taylor, this was a lovely environment. Not only showing up there to the pregame, we saw all of our friends, just about every single team in Chicago that has a D3 squad was there to represent, minus Peoria was the only people from our division probably not there. Slackers, it's only a 3-hour drive one way, guys. Jeez. Anyway, they were not present. Other than them, the Woodsmen were there, Fox Valley was there, of course, Marcus in Northwest Indiana was there, who was it? Lake County was there, and of course, me and Will were there representing for the Ravens. For the Chicago Hounds having their very first home opener against the Utah Warriors. Now, Utah Warriors, I would say these guys are sort of higher than the bad teams, but they're definitely not as good as some of these teams out there. They're sort of lower bottom end team, if you ask me. And Chicago had so many fucking opportunities to win this game, Taylor. They had this game 3-0 for most of the game to start with, but they also just had possession for most of it too, and just couldn't quite utilize it, couldn't quite build on their lead. I mean, obviously this is one of their first tries at home. Look at these passes, Taylor. These are some amazing passes. So fast, so quick. That pass from 15 in live was so fast, dude.
And there's the first.
He got that shit out immediately. Oh, you didn't see the? I'm not showing my screen. Sorry, Taylor. But don't worry, the people were watching and they enjoyed it. But yeah, so basically, let's just go back and we'll show that to you again so you can watch it and enjoy it, Taylor.
Here we go.
Can you see it now?
Yep, we're all good to go, Steven.
All right, cool. So yeah, quick passes to the outside, finds a wing on the outside. Great finish by this 14. Dude, not only did this guy have an amazing try, but that guy earlier in the game had one of the best rucks I've seen. It was on our side of the field, very close, so I got a very good look. But there was two guys about to counter ruck. Dude just came flying in there and bulldozed 2 dudes off the ball, and later on they reward him with a try. So you'll love to see it. You love to see wings out there busting their ass for rucks, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful to see the back three. I mean, especially at this level of rugby, you could really see with the was one of the themes that really led Utah Warriors to key success for the overloads on Chicago.
Yep.
Was they would pull over one of their weak side wings, and you kept getting that 14-11 combo on the outside, wherein they were sneaking that flanker out there as well, which just ended up in the long run being detrimental for the Chicago Hounds. The other major issue that I kind of discussed with some other rugby colleagues yesterday while the game was going on was the 10 kept killing momentum for Chicago, just kicking the ball away at wrong times. There was one break where you had, I believe you had a 14 on the far side, had a wide open run, or excuse me, it was a 15. And instead of being able to get that pass out there, the 10 kind of just popped it up and over. And, it wasn't the best kick, it wasn't the worst kick. I understand why he did it, but I felt like his lack of looking for space, or he just wasn't quite executing what he was trying to do quite a bit there too. I mean, you saw their situation down when the guys were within the 10-meter line, and they could have easily just passed it out to the backs there. They were playing some bully ball in the forwards, and they finally get it out. And instead of just swinging it out there, from what it sounds like, Chicago, the Hounds have pretty good centers, and they clearly had good wings and a good fullback, even though the good fullback did go out early. He just tried to chip kick it over into the try zone and didn't even make it there. Got halfway there, they lost possession. Just some really bad mismanagement, I would say, by the Hounds in their first.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially that. I can totally attest to that. Various times they would have a breakaway and you're like, oh wow, we're really in business. And then there'd be a kick. And like you said, maybe not the worst time for a kick, but they never worked out. There was probably about 3 of them that were momentum's going our way, this is looking really good, a couple missed tackles, and just a pop kick that leads to nothing, going out the bounds. Or credit to Utah, all day long these guys played some really good defense. As I mentioned, they were down most of the day, and they just hung in there, hung against the crowd, which we were pretty loud, but they just hung in there, man.
Even with 2 yellow cards, they were able to keep up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Chicago just kind of ran out of ideas or gas or something in that second half, man, because they just definitely, like you said, they fell victim to a bunch of overloads. And to be fair, that 11 for Utah was fast as hell. Big credit to their number 7 too. He's also really good. He's been in the league for a while now. Had some amazing catches and was doing a good job of getting into his 11, over there on the edge of the wing there. So. Yeah, it's kind of disappointing for Chicago to have lost this game because I feel like they were in it.
Yeah.
They could have had it.
They were very much. I thought the majority of the game they were going to have it, but they kind of, at the end of the day, I really believe they beat themselves.
100%.
They had a hard time. They had a hard time finishing, which is a thing in rugby. But when you get so much of the game was played in Utah's half, to only come away with the tries that they did is just kind of
100%. They definitely should have scored They absolutely should have scored more points than 10. It's pretty crazy. Taylor, why don't you go ahead and look into this game here with the SaberCats, and I want you to just watch this highlight here and entertain the people. I'm going to run it, and I'll be right back. All right?
All right.
I'm going to turn it over in that more.
Anu, back with Brahi, a little show and go from the USA Eagle. Brahi inside the 22, has a man, goes inside with the support, and it's going to be another for the Legion. Richard Judd extends San Diego's lead in the 10th minute.
We're seeing one of the best players ever. A great opportunity for Houston to respond.
Houston needs a response, indeed, trailing 14-0.
I had to go get
San Diego.
I had to go get a lighter. But the reason I pulled up this game, San Diego Legion and Houston SaberCats, is that of all the games that took place this week, there was only a handful that were actually close. Chicago Hounds and Utah Warriors, and then this game of Houston and Legion. Now, this game is probably more relevant in the overall scheme of things than the Chicago game, just because both these teams were undefeated going into the game. Both of them are, not quite top-tier teams, but certainly upper top. Like I said, both these teams could. San Diego has already beaten the Utah Warriors, and I'm sure Houston could as well. Taylor?
Yeah, Utah was a pretty middle-of-the-pack team last year. I do know that. They had some issues with numbers and whatnot. But, I think that's one thing, with every expansion team, kind of like our team, especially like these two teams here, they've been well-established teams now for a couple years.
Apparently they're original to the league.
Yeah, so that kind of goes to show you got some guys who've been playing together for quite a while, which when it comes to building chemistry and fluidity in the club, time is the best thing you can have together. Practice, game. So that's probably it explains why they probably are up there at that higher level.
And I was surprised because all right. San Diego hops out to an early lead in this game, and people are thinking, okay, is this going to be a complete blowout? But no, man, the SaberCats stuck in this game. We're obviously skipping ahead here a little bit. Missing their tries early field goal. But look at this guy's stuff. Dude, there's so much interceptions going on lately in rugby. I feel like it's more so than I've seen in previous years. But much like that Seattle game last week, where there was a Seattle scrum half intercepted Atlanta, took it back to the house, and it ultimately led to the try that won them the game. I'd say this is a huge try right here. San Diego's in Houston territory, about to go up 21-10, and instead you get a pick six, huge momentum swing, and I think that's how the Houston Cats ended up taking this game.
Yeah, man, and you just people are getting faster. Athletes are more explosive now. I think it's just with the quickness of the game and how much athletes are growing and understanding the game, you're going to start seeing more explosive plays like that.
And it's also, you got to read that perfectly. Like I was telling some of our wings who have been asking me about that, and it's like, yeah, man, you can do this, but you damn sure better catch that ball, because if you miss that, it's going to be an easy try for that guy out on the corner there. So it's one of those things, you got to have confidence in yourself, but fuck, it looks good when it does happen right. So moving on here.
Exactly.
Moving on, we got a couple of the games that took place this week. As I mentioned, the SaberCats came back and won that one against San Diego Legion. The New York Ironworkers made quick work of Old Glory. Old Glory's still kind of struggling. They've only really been good against like the Jackals and some other bad teams. Already covered the Hounds. Atlanta ATL gets back in the win column after a disappointing loss to Seattle the previous week. And Seattle continues to their dominant ways. I don't think anyone really thought the Jackals were going to have much of a chance in this game. Did you, Taylor? Were you shocked by this result? 35-10?
Yeah, I haven't been keeping up on the MLR as much as I probably should have, but, the Seawolves were a team that I thought, wasn't going to do too much this season from what I was hearing, and they kind of took it to the Jackals, but the Jackals have also been underwhelming.
Well, I don't know where you heard that from, because they are 3-0. They've won, I want to say 3 or 2 of the MLR championships, and there's only been about 5. They lost to New York in the final last year, and this year they started off the year already by beating New York and then going and beating Atlanta the next week. So they're off to a hot start. I would say they're probably the number 1 team right now. And I guess we'll see how the rest of this year progresses. But they're certainly looking good, man.
Well, go Seattle Seawolves.
Seattle Seawolves, man. We got our Chicago Hounds to root for, but yeah, Seawolves are looking dangerous. See if anyone can stop these guys. Going into the XFL now. Sports by Compian did not cover this as deeply as we should have this weekend. There was other things going on, just tearing out houses and going to other rugby events. But I did manage to catch a lot of the highlights from this game of Seattle Seawolves versus the Vegas Vipers. Ben DiNucci is the quarterback over there for Seattle. I don't know if you knew this, Taylor.
Him and Josh Gordon are tearing it up in the XFL, man.
Well, the funny thing is, DiNucci actually looks like he came out a little bit later. That's crazy. They don't have either of these two down for a touchdown pass, and yet they have Josh Gordon down for 2 touchdown receptions and even this guy for touchdown receptions. So that's a miscellaneous. Something's wrong with these stats here. But anyway, point is, DiNucci has, in fact, been looking quite good, unless it was this Morgan guy who threw all those touchdowns. Now I'm a little confused. DiNucci was looking good early. I don't know if they took him out, maybe with injury or something. Looks like they gave everyone a chance throwing the ball. But so Seattle this is their week 3 game. They've had a lead in all of their games. In fact, the previous 2, they keep on losing to heartbreakers, people coming back on them. And with this game against the Vipers, it was looking a similar way. The Vipers had the lead for a decent amount of the game. But Seattle is probably one of the better teams in the XFL. Despite their record, they're always, like I said, in the lead. And Josh Gordon definitely looks like the best receiver so far. The guy, what is he, 35 or something at this point, 30? But he's looking really good. The dude's just blowing past people. He had a touchdown where, he catches the ball and starts, backstepping. I don't think he realized that he was only on the 20-yard line and still had, a very long way to get to the end zone because of the other quarterback who was nearby started trying to tackle him. He's like, oh, shit, I guess I actually got to focus. And so he, runs over this corner and goes into the end zone. But it's just to kind of show. The guy is, I think, a superior athlete to a lot of the other people on that field, Taylor. What do you think?
Josh Gordon will be playing somewhere in the NFL next year.
I think so. After the season he's putting on, man, he is, because you want to see, I guess, at this level for a guy to get a shot in the NFL, you want to see him absolutely dominating at this level, and I think that's fair to say that's what Josh Gordon's been doing since coming into this. He's had 3 strong weeks in a row. He had one catch at the back of the end zone. That was just ridiculous, man. The guy's playing some really good football right now. Good for him. Good for the Seattle Seawolves finally getting into Seattle Dragons. Because they needed a win. They've been playing really well. It's good to see them finally, have that payoff for them. And then St. Louis Battlehawks versus the DC Defenders. Now, I am a free agent fan, Taylor, as they say. So I am strongly considering being a St. Louis Battlehawks fan only because, they're the Battlehawks. It's pretty cool. Plus, they're in St. Louis. Not that far from us. A 5.5-hour drive. Could be nice.
It's not bad. Is it even 5.5 hours?
No, it's probably less than that. Yeah, St. Louis, Missouri, probably 4.
I think it's a 4.5-hour drive.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, they fall to the DC Defenders, who are also looking quite good this year. They are now undefeated. Hand Seattle their first loss. Seattle's had some come from behind victories this year so far, so not too surprising to see them fall to the Defenders. Especially with that Defenders defense has been solid all year long. So eager to see what they can do when we get closer to, I guess, playoff time? I'm not even sure how they're going to do the playoffs in this one. There's not that many teams, so it'll probably be a 1 or 2 round playoff. The Orlando Guardians continue to disappoint. Now, I didn't watch this game or the highlights, but I can tell you that
I mean, it looks pretty boring. Nobody wants to watch a 9-10 football game.
well, that's because they're still starting Paxton Lynch. They actually cut the other guy they had, and apparently are going all in on Paxton Lynch, which is mind-boggling to me, Taylor. That guy, when he was at the NFL, I was always surprised that he kept on getting jobs, and he's bounced around the USFL, the XFL at this point, doing terrible, but still getting jobs. So it goes to show what can happen when you look like a good quarterback, when you look the part, and if you can make a throw every once in a while, turns out you can just stick around for a while.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, these Guardians have been terrible all year round. Their offense cannot get it going. It looks like their defense really put up a fight and gave them a chance here to win. They were ultimately not able to pull it off. Arlington Renegades pull off a one point victory to go to 2-1 on the season. Good for them. San Antonio Brahmas were facing the Houston Roughnecks. This game was actually a lot less close when I first checked on it. Houston Roughnecks were up 22-0. So kind of a comeback from San Antonio. Not quite enough. I've actually been saying that this Jack Cohen guy is probably one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He absolutely proved me wrong in this game. By throwing 64 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Some pretty sad quarterback stats here overall, Taylor. Wouldn't you agree?
What do you expect?
Yeah, I mean, there's not even 32 guys who can do it at the NFL level, so I guess it's not too surprising what we're seeing here so far in the XFL. But this Brandon Severs guy is probably the best quarterback, and it proved it again. Another 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception. Played a good game. Definitely the best stats we've seen so far.
There we go.
So Roughnecks remain undefeated. So we got the Roughnecks are undefeated. We got the Defenders are undefeated. Renegades are 2-1. Battlehawks are 2-1. Orlando's 0-3, and Seattle's 1-3. The Vipers haven't won either. So some competitive play so far. Nobody is really dominating out the gate. Next week we're going to have the Roughnecks and the Guardians. So the Guardians will get a chance to prove that they're not the worst team in the NFL. I mean the XFL, which I believe they are. San Antonio Brahmas against the Seattle Sea Dragons. That should be a pretty good one. I'm thinking of Seattle in that one. And then we got the Renegades and the Battlehawks going to war. Battle of 2-1s. Should be interesting there. Taylor, as you're looking at these records, as you're just sort of getting your feet wet here with this XFL analysis, who are you picking for the Super Bowl as far as their XFL ways go?
Man, it's still early in the season. I'm still going with Seattle.
Seattle, I think they're going to pull it around?
I think they're going to pull it back. I'm going with Josh Gordon and Danucci.
All right. Well, I mean, we got to figure out if Danucci's even the guy there right now, because it seems like they might have switched over to some other dude. But yes, I am definitely a Ben Danucci fan. I've been rooting for the guy. I just think he's probably the craziest quarterback in the league so far. The dude's just constantly flinging it around. He throws a lot of interceptions, has a lot of fumbles, but he's definitely the most entertaining so far I've seen of the quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's just fun to watch. He's a good dude too. Want to root for him.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely seems like a funny guy. Before we head into this next phase, I think this is an excellent time to bring up our first, non-sponsored sponsor of the day, which is actually a product that I'm using right now, which is why I'm coughing, and that is pipes, Dwarven Pipes. This has been a reoccurring non-sponsored sponsor for us on this here podcast. They make amazing bongs, pipes, whatever smoking apparatus devices you're into, they got you covered. And you can get nice personalized bongs for under $20. That's amazing! And that is key, Taylor, for gentlemen such as myself, who often break the slides, break the bong. There's just lots of breaking glass happening here in Castle Compian. And so, having someone I can rely on, like Dwarven Pipes, to constantly send me amazing pipes is what we all need in our lives. Wouldn't you agree, Taylor?
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Sounds about right. I'm going to have to get me one of them.
Yep, Dwarven Pipes are the shit. Highly recommended. They are a proud non-sponsor sponsor of the Sports by Compian. Anyway,
real dwarves.
Moving on to, real dwarves make those. They are in the mines right now, mining for glass.
Mines of Moria.
Mines of Moria, dude. There they are. So here we are, back to NHL. Now, we haven't covered this in a while. We'd be lying to you if we said we knew exactly what the heck was going on. But Taylor here is a big Dallas Stars fan, so we're just mostly going to cover them for this episode. How are we feeling about the Dallas Stars? What do we think about them, Taylor? Can we count on these guys to make a deep playoff run like they did last year? What's going on?
The Dallas Stars right now are pretty much in first place, if not tied for first place in the Western Conference. So they're looking pretty good. They made some good trade moves, acquired some good forwards. It's really nice. The younger guys, for years, the Dallas Stars were led by the likes of Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin, which, between those two, they had several All-Star appearances, but never quite were able to really push through. We got a really good goalie in Jake Ottinger, goes by Otter, and some really nice young defensemen, then some wonderful, nice young forwards. One of our young forwards, Robinson, he actually is in the race for the Hart Ross Trophy right now, which is for the highest goal scorer or MVP as well. The kid is
that Jason right here that I'm showing?
What's up?
Are you showing? I'm showing my screen. Are you seeing Jason? Is that him? Jason Robinson?
Yeah, sorry. I had my stats pulled up.
Yep,
Robinson. That's the guy right
so
there.
So you got 74
Jason
points,
Robinson.
a bunch of goals, bunch of assists. He's involved in just about all the scoring happening, huh?
Yeah, he's just all over the place right now. He's fun to watch, and it's opening up rooms to where now that are like Captain Jamie Benn can go back to playing the bully ball he likes to play. He's putting the puck in the net, getting assists, digging in the corners. Tyler Sagan's been scoring more goals.
Nice.
All around the Dallas Stars are really, really – they're like the hot team right now. They're the team to watch out for with playoffs coming up. Nobody wants to play against the Dallas Stars in the first rounds of playoffs.
Love to hear it. Is this Jason guy, is he one of the ones you traded for, or did you draft him?
Nope, he was a draftee.
Oh, wow, cool.
I believe he was drafted.
Building from within, as they say, huh? Let's have a
Hell
look
yeah.
at these guys' schedule. So we got this is March we're looking at?
Yep.
So they're already on to a hot start this month. Holy cow, 3 wins already to start.
Yep.
Yeah, look at that.
They played tonight versus Calgary.
All right, got Calgary tonight. Buffalo isn't too good, right? Or Seattle.
Yeah, no, they got the doubleheader versus Seattle coming up. I don't really think their next challenge for a game will be until we play Edmonton on the 16th. Because Edmonton is just a great team.
How's Calgary this year, though? They're in the playoffs.
Yeah, Calgary's not bad. They're making moves, but they're definitely not out of all the Canadian teams right now, they're probably the least to worry about. You got with the Montreal Canadiens, they're doing really, really, really well. Vancouver's all right. Ottawa's all right. But you got Connor McDavid and the whole squad up in Edmonton, and that's the best player in hockey. That's second coming to Gretzky right there.
I was just gonna say, so McDavid's still just because I've been, even if you're not paying attention, you still hear the stuff, and it does sound like McDavid's just a very good hockey player, huh?
Oh yeah, the kid's just on a different level. His highlights are just impressive. He's just.
Is he from Canada, or did he just happen to play there?
No, he's from Canada.
Oh, okay. So now,
hockey player.
Does that usually end up like that? Like if you're from there, is it typical you might end up getting drafted by one of those teams, or is it really just whatever? Whoever.
No, it's 100%. He was the first overall draft pick the year he was drafted. So Edmonton had sucked for years. So he was the first overall draft pick.
Well, good for them that they got their Canadian boy to stay home.
Because hockey trades and hockey drafts are just such a different level. Maybe the first 10 kids are actually going straight into a team and starting. A lot of them just get sent down to, kids are getting drafted at 17 or so, and they just play in minors, or they finish college. They play in college, and when they come out of college, they go play for their team. It's crazy. You'll see a hockey player draft. It'll be one team gets 2 dudes, and another team trades 2 first-round picks, a second, a third, and 5 players. Hockey trades are crazy.
Sounds fun. Well, just going over these standings real quick, we actually, when we were covering this before, Carolina and New Jersey were sitting there in the top of the Metropolitan Division. So, we're Jersey Devil guys around here. We have a lot of family in Jersey, so we're happy to see them doing well, and the Rangers. The Atlantic Conference, Boston is still sitting at number 1 there. Tampa Bay is taking a tumble, which is unpleasant to see. What's going on with my Lightning boys? Can you give me a little bit of background information? Do you have any idea why they're not dominating?
I think, getting older. After you win a couple Stanley Cups in a row, people want to get paid. People move.
Yeah.
Gotta make some, Stamkos is getting old. Also that division right there, two teams I was talking about. You got Toronto, and you got the Boston Bruins, who are playing phenomenally. The Boston Bruins might break records this year. They're probably the team to watch out for. And when you think about it, like within the last 20 years,
49-8. Holy shit.
Within the last 20 years, probably since 2008 to now or so that's not 20 years, but in less so many years. The Blackhawks were a dynasty at the beginning of that. They won those cups. But when the Blackhawks weren't winning the cup, it was always the Bruins. And the Bruins have kept winning a cup every other year, every 2 years, every year. They're right there for so many years.
So they might be one of the best teams in the NHL is what you're trying to say?
Yeah, just organizations and wild too. In hockey, they've just.
What is it about Massachusetts? Why do they all just have amazing sports organizations there? Is it you get there, it's freezing cold, the Bostoners are mad, you're like, shit, I guess we got to do fucking well or they're going to kill us. Is that the gig?
Lots of money.
Now it all makes sense. Perfect. Well, moving on, the Islanders are also playing some good hockey, apparently. Good for them. And yeah, that's just kind of the story with hockey. It should be pretty interesting, man. Edmonton's in there. This will get more interesting as we get to the Oilers of playoffs. We'll definitely try to cover it a little bit more. Good to see our boys Chicago here at the bottom representing. Means we'll get a good draft pick, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully they can do something with it. It'd be cool to go see some hot games. But anyway, that's the somewhat of a summary, somewhat of an overview of the NHL by Sports by Compian. You're welcome, motherfuckers. Moving on to our bread and butter, otherwise known as the NFL. Geno Smith just got paid a lot of money to throw the football around. Is this warranted after 1 year of success in Seattle? Taylor, what do you think?
Good for Geno, comeback player. Just after everything he's gone through, he played really, really well last year, and I think he deserves the money. Quarterbacks are just getting paid so much now. You look at what Derek Carr got paid down for. He got paid over $100 million too down in the Saints. So on par for quarterbacks. That's where you're collecting. Geno definitely put in the work and earned his keep last year on that team. He definitely raised his stock value with balling out for him last year. So I think it's well deserved. It's hard to find good quarterbacks. Now, would I be surprised if Seattle goes out and drafts a quarterback this year? Potentially, I could see him doing it. But then again, I think it's going to be on how the board falls and everything else.
Well, it's going to be hard to find a quarterback because, as usual, there's quarterback needy teams at the top of the board. And yeah, just kind of going to Geno, man. I remember when he came into the league, same year as Mike Glennon. Shout out Mike Glennon. But anyway, I remember he was just all pouty that he didn't get drafted in the first round, and then he gets punched by a teammate in fucking his locker room. So you're like, dude, it's kind of hard to root for this kid. But to what you're mentioning, to his credit, he must have done some type of self-evaluation and moved past whatever it was and played some damn well good football last year. So I'm always rooting for these guys to get paid. Happy to see it done. Like you said, the quarterback market's completely insane right now, so it makes sense he got paid over $100 million to play quarterback. Get after it. I wish him the best of luck.
Yeah, good for him in Seattle.
And then the Saints and Derek Carr. This is terrible. I didn't even know this had happened until I pulled up the NFL today, and now it's just sort of digesting. It's fucking terrible news. I don't like that at all. Fucking fuck the Saints, but also it's just I thought he said no to the Saints. I thought that was one of the one teams he was not going to go to. And now
I don't know, man. It's the Saints are kind of stocking up. They got some other good players too.
Well, they're the type of team that, as much as I hate those guys, they're a quarterback away. That's why Drew Brees has them in the playoffs every year before this, because the team is just built solidly, and they just play good football. They just play good fundamental football. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They do have an attitude, I feel to them that brings out at least something in the Buccaneers that we just play terrible when we play them. Like, they do have a big brother sort of mentality that they impose on teams sometimes. Like, I think last year, didn't they beat the Eagles last year, or at least came really fucking close? And like with a team that, with like a team that like should not have been competing against the Eagles, but it's just this is a team that plays with like a very weird mentality, man. I don't know how to describe it, but they got a winner thing going on down there. It's very annoying that Derek Carr's down there with them now too.
Yeah, team you got to watch out for, man. Tampa Bay's kind of shedding a lot of skin over there, aren't they?
Yeah, we sure are, man. We're going down to bare bones. It's going to be the rookies. It's going to be Kyle Trask, or the ship is going to sink, and we're going to sink hard. So, you know, I believe in Captain Trask. I saw him in Atlanta throw a couple passes. He looked absolutely terrible. But I'm not going to hold that against him, Taylor, because it was only a handful of passes, and he was thrown to not starter receivers. So, hoping another year of him sitting back there and actually being told he's the guy. You know, let's do it. Also, low-key, what's going to happen with Blaine Gabbert? Because I'm kind of a Blaine Gabbert guy, too. Like, you know, he's kind of the man. So I think we might want to look at him and his beautiful hair and see what he wants to do, too.
I think this was going to be a busy week. It was only Monday, and you already saw a lot of stuff. I mean, people like some big names got cut today, you know what I mean? I mean, D-Hop's definitely get traded. Allen Robinson is seeking a trade from the Rams. The Rams cut Leonard Floyd. That's a beautiful defensive lineman who's going to be on the market. You also had, like, Josh Jacobs got franchise tag. Evan Ingram got franchise tag down in Jacksonville. Calvin Ridley got reinstated today. Watch Jacksonville be a fun team next year.
Jacksonville's going to be really fun.
You know, there's a bunch of, plus all these different receivers that are just kind of coming out and going to be able to be traded for availability and things like that. It's going to be very interesting these next few days.
Agreed.
You know, what do you think about Devin White being cut?
So I don't think that's official. Apparently, it's just like weird, like kryptonite tweets he's saying, but I don't think that's true. I saw those like rumors. I haven't seen that officially. But what I was going to ask is, when does the free agency officially start?
I believe it's like casually starts this week. I want to say the 15th, though. Here, okay. Let me look it up quick.
All right. We also have the NFL Combine going on. You know, God bless the NFL, dude. These guys are constantly doing something or another. Like,
it's March 15th.
March 15th, okay. So we're like
March 15th, next week, which is a next week Wednesday.
So that should be interesting. It should be a very fun time. But yeah, what did you hear about Devin White getting cut? What's that about? Is that legit? We gotta check this out.
Yes, he's moving on. He posted a thing on Instagram and stuff like that about it.
Yeah, he put some cryptic shit or whatever. So I don't know if it's official. I hope it's not. I like Devin White. He's had his ups and downs with the Buccaneers, and I don't think a lot of people realize that because he's like, the media portrays him as like one of the best linebackers ever, and like, you know, he buys into that himself. Now the guy has flashes of it. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I think any Bucs fan will tell you he struggles in coverage sometimes, and he also just has a weird mentality where he gives up on games sometimes. Like, dude, I've never seen a worse game out of a linebacker than the Baltimore game, Thursday Night Football. Dude straight up gave up on the defense. It was very embarrassing. And you can't have that, like, out of a guy wearing a C on his chest. So I think he could still develop. I think he could still be a really great linebacker. So that's why I hope these rumors are not true and that we can reel him back in. But if he ultimately does move on, I'm not going to be super mad about it, because somebody's going to have to pay the guy a shitload of money and hope that he pans out to be the guy he's, you know, can or may not be. So it sucks. Hope he's coming back. If not, you know, we'll draft another linebacker. I don't know why we're taking linebackers 5th overall anyway. It's a little too crazy. Yeah, you gotta find somebody who can rush the passer at that position. If you're gonna do defense that early, I think it's gotta be someone who can rush the passer. Otherwise, I don't know, man. What are we doing? Or a really good generational corner like Jalen Ramsey, you know?
Fair enough. What do you think Tom Brady's gonna come back out of retirement?
Absolutely not. He's gonna wander off into the sunset and go enjoy that. Speaking of people probably enjoying some sun, what do you think Mr. Rogers is going to do with his life now that he's been out of the darkness? He's had some time to, you know, I guess think, whatever the fuck it is you do in a darkness retreat for that long. Would you ever do something like that?
No.
I'm not going to say no. I think I may or may not be open to that. But yeah, probably not immediately or anything.
I'm not against it. I do like the ayahuasca and all that stuff. I ain't sitting in a dark room for 3 days. I'd get too bored.
Well, it's a darkness retreat, bro. But anyway, so yeah, what do you think you guys going to do now that he's had some time to, I guess, rethink his whole fucking life? That's a long time to be in there thinking.
I bet he stays in Green Bay. I'm still on the train that he's going to stay in Green Bay. Green Bay's been actively making a ton of cap space. I believe you're going to see here in the next few weeks the Packers, especially at the beginning of free agency or before it, now that it's already the start of the new league year, I think you could see them trade for a receiver. It would be very unlike them, but I'm all here for it, especially if Rodgers comes out and goes, I want to stay. I could see them, all right, let's go trade, get a veteran piece. Because I believe if Rodgers comes back, it's his last season. I think that's kind of the sail into the sunset season. He's going to come back, play, regardless of what happens. They'll keep Jordan Love. They'll pick him up and pay him $22 million on his fifth-year option and promise that Jordan Love will be the starting quarterback next year.
Go for it. I actually could see that. I totally agree. I think everyone's getting excited. He's going here. He's going there. It's like, I don't know, man. At this point in his career, why? I don't think it's a similar situation to what was going on with the Patriots, where they just were not surrounding him with weapons, and he was like, I don't know. Also, with a guy like Bill Belichick, it's completely different, So to compare it to the Brady situation is what I'm saying. But I think he has some ties. He loves Green Bay. I could see him just going back and staying with them. And yeah, like you said, probably the last run.
Yeah, for sure, last run. And it's that's how it's gonna do. I think what you'll see here is you're gonna. I confidently actually think, and when it comes, the Packers do one or two things. They pick an offensive lineman or a defensive end, edge or safety, depending on who falls in the first round to kind of build for the future, and then they'll get. So I think you see them take a running back in one of the third or fourth rounds with A.J. Dillon coming up on a 5th year and Jonesy redoing his contract. So I kind of, I think that you see them build for the future, take a tight end. I mean, there's some real good tight ends in this class, real deep. I don't think necessarily that's a first-round position, but oh no, the draft's going to be exciting. There's some freakish athletes. You got that defensive lineman out of Georgia who had the 40-inch vertical and ran a 4.4 40.
Yeah, I heard about that guy.
Just like,
no wonder they're out there just absolutely destroying teams in the national championship, too. They got fucking crazy people coming out of there, like, every 2 seconds. Like, this has been 2 drafts in a row now where they're just producing, like, tons of first-round picks.
Yep.
Good for them, man. Really coming up and taking that, making it interesting as far as with Alabama. But, yeah, Combine was definitely happening, and they're out there doing the drills and stuff. The boys are looking good. I haven't heard anything bad about anyone. As far as like the top guys. I heard this thing about one of the guys from Kentucky or something. The Kentucky quarterback is afraid of milk. Is that true?
I don't know if that's true or not. I did also hear that.
That's a pretty weird rumor, right?
Yes.
Anyway, well, not to end with that strange rumor, we're instead going to take you guys out with a lovely quote. But before we do that, Taylor, do you have any last words to say about, the state of the NFL, the Packers, Aaron Rodgers' state of mind, Aaron Jones' state of mind after getting paid? What do you have to say about any of this?
Just gotta let it run its course.
I like it.
Run its course.
That makes sense. So be patient, Packers fans. And in the meantime, indulge yourself with a lovely quote by Never Enough by Michael Hayes. Suffice to say, this is a Navy SEAL book. Get excited. You can train yourself to do hard things. You can practice being comfortable in the most trying situations, but you're never going to be the most effective performer unless you have the right attitude about the people around you. You have to Understand your own gifts and talents, absolutely, and bring them forward when useful. But at the same time, you also have to recognize that we can never know everything. We all have to orient ourselves to rely on others, set our ego aside, and ask for help when we need it. We have to be honest and accountable and live with integrity and transparency. True excellence means accepting blame even more quickly than we take credit. Sharing that credit with everyone around us. Without that attitude, we simply aren't excellent enough. Sports by Compian.